Thiess, we're creating an inclusive workforce, one which has got Indigenous Australians truly represented in the workforce, valuing the contribution that they make and the skills that they bring, the diversity of views that it also brings, and the greater awareness of Indigenous culture in the business. NAIDOC week is a week out of the calendar for us to stop and pause and reflect and really understand the culture of Indigenous Australians and the contribution that they've made to the country.
To me, it means celebrating the history, culture, and also the achievements of the Indigenous people.
Australia's got the oldest Indigenous culture in the world, which is just phenomenal, and to learn something about that each year as part of the team here at Thiess is really something to be really proud of, I think.
It needs to be celebrated, not only for that reason, but also because the Indigenous people themselves are losing their culture, and it needs to be, especially to the young people, they need to be reminded of it and made aware that they need to work at retaining it, because there would be nothing sadder than to see a race of people lose their culture.
It's important to celebrate NAIDOC week as the Indigenous communities are traditional owners of the land. I think it's important to identify the past injustices that Indigenous Australians have been subject to.
One of our main contributions would be, like we said before, culture, just to share with basically not just this country, but all those out there that know about us.
It's good to see all these different faces and people get on with each other and bringing their cultures into this industry and their ideas. No, it's great.
It's important to celebrate NAIDOC Week, mainly because in the past it hasn't always been celebrated. The contribution of our Indigenous Australians hasn't always been valued. I think it's important that we need to recognise their contribution to really define what it is to be Australian now.
I think it's great that we can all just work together and be in harmony with one another.
One of the things I like about working in this crew, there's a lot of non-Indigenous people that want to share, want to understand and want to learn about Indigenous cultures, and that's what NAIDOC Week's about. It's about Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islanders celebrating their culture.
The camaraderie between the non-Indigenous and Indigenous team members is fantastic, it's very healthy, and I look forward to many more years of fantastic contributions from our Indigenous employees.
NAIDOC Week is about looking at Aboriginal soldiers who served for Australia in the armed forces, and for me this is really important because my great-grandfather, Arthur Thomas Walker, was an Anzac, and he went and fought for Australia at the time when Aboriginal people weren't allowed to join, but he did join.
Australians who fought in wars are important to recognise because as a Calcuttian woman, my ancestors were some of the fiercest warriors known to anyone around the Greater Mount Isa region. My ancestors fought tirelessly for their people, culture and history, and are the main reason our culture survived. Any Indigenous Australian should be able to relate to this topic and feel proud, as it is one of the main reasons as to why we are still recognised today.
As a returning Afghan veteran, I'm very proud to have served overseas with my Indigenous comrades.
NAIDOC means so much to me and my people, and also the people around us. Thanks for having this week.
NAIDOC Week does is it brings out that knowledge and it brings out that education piece, because each year that they do this, people learn more and more about their own cultural background, regardless of whether they're Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander or not. It's their cultural heritage as well. It's their history as well.
It's not just for Aboriginal and Islander people, it's for everybody. So if you have a NAIDOC celebration going on somewhere in your town or at work somewhere, don't be ashamed and go and join in. You should be heaps welcome and widely appreciated. And you have fun too.